noticed over the past few days when I'm wandering around in Warminster that I'm constantly being followed by undercover police. Indeed, I had heard that there was a conspiracy being organized by networks of Masonic lodges around here in accordance with their statutes, that they were going to hire several undercover police to basically put me in a wheelchair to disable me. Indeed, apparently, a lot of these directives have been issued by the Elders of Devizes, a secretive organization operating out of Devizes, which is interconnected with Moonraker Lodge number 8747, and wants to protect the supposed respectable reputation of Devizes from this schizophrenic's accusations. Indeed, so various networks operating out of Devizes are attempting to utilize their Masonic connections in Warminster and have hired a team of professional undercover policemen to render me permanently disabled, basically. I think this isn't going to work for some reason. I believe that this tactic may prove too messy for this this network to achieve. Indeed, it's interesting to consider who are the Elders of Devizes. Indeed, I've identified one many times. Ed Giles of Rose's Ironmongers in Devizes is one of the Elders of Devizes, and was heavily involved with the Walter Rose and Sons butcher shop, organ harvesting, and organ trafficking operation. It's interesting to consider that Rose's Ironmongers and Walter Rose and Sons butcher shop are named after the Rose family of Devizes, and the Rose family have always been heavily integrated with the Elders of Devizes. Indeed, it is a very creepy locality, Devizes, and is basically run by a few families, such as the Rose family, the Giles family, the Cartwright family, and the Giddings family. Indeed, these families are highly regarded, supposedly, in Devizes circles. However, these are criminal families with Masonic credentials. Indeed, they are operating several criminal enterprises with networks of Kurdish mobsters who are mainly operating gun running operations in the area, as well as Turkish mobsters who are renowned for opiate pushing, and Bengali networks of Bengali mobsters who are primarily operating the child trafficking rings for the Wiltshire Police Headquarters. It's interesting to note that Wiltshire Police Headquarters, through the director of the National Crime Agency who oversees the cartel operations of Wiltshire Police Headquarters, Graham Bigger, who is a Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst agent, it is also interesting to note that much of the pedophiling activity centered on Wiltshire Police Headquarters is interconnected with Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst operations, as well as operations of the British Secret Intelligence Service, i.e. MI6. It is interesting how all of these networks interlink and are centered on Wiltshire Police Headquarters. So it's interesting to consider the fact that every time I walk around Warminster these days, I'm being followed by at least 6 undercover police officers who are interconnected with Masonic lodges in the region and are basically operating under contract from Wyvern Lodge, I believe, Wyvern Lodge number 8620, the main Masonic lodge in Warminster, though it isn't the oldest. Longleat Lodge has a far longer history. However, Wyvern Lodge number 8620 seems to be the most prominent lodge in this town. Indeed, last Saturday, I had a couple of beverages and I was sitting in the street and observed the Freemasons in their suits coming out of the lodge. So I started screaming Freemason pedophiles for about 8 minutes at them, and they looked like they wanted to kill me. I found it all rather entertaining, but they were looking at me with the look of death. So I've most probably been sentenced to death by Wyvern Lodge number 8620, just as I was sentenced to death by the Elders of Devizes in 2021. It is interesting to consider that I was sentenced to death by the United Grand Lodge of England on July 28th, 2020, when I exposed the Devizes ring for the first time with my face on camera. And then in 2021, I was sentenced to death by the Elders of Devizes. Indeed, I believe there are 49 Elders of Devizes. At one point, they were known as the 49 Elders of Aplin. However, due to there no longer being an Aplin at the head of the Elders of Devizes, they are simply known as the Elders of Devizes these days, the 49 Elders of Devizes, rather than the 49 Elders of Aplin. So it's all very interesting to consider. So who are these 49 Elders of Devizes? Indeed, as I've stated, Ed Giles of Rose's Ironmongers is one, as is Peter Crofts of Green Lane Hospital. Both Ed Giles and Peter Crofts are pederasts and are operative for Moonraker Lodge number 8747, which is a truly disgusting example of British Freemasonry. Indeed, British Freemasonry is a truly heinous operation. Indeed, as I've stated, the British police are Masonic. So all of the baby rape rings, child trafficking enterprises, and organ harvesting cartels of the British police are Masonic networks. So it's interesting to consider that the majority of Masonic lodges have their own networks of hitmen and contract assassins. So I have no doubt at some point the Moonraker Lodge number 8747 of Devizes put out a contract killing on me. Indeed, it is widely spoken of in underground circles that the Elders of Devizes and various other locals of Devizes attempted to contract the Albanian mob to kill me. However, this failed. So it's all very interesting to consider the fact that to save the so-called respectable reputation of Devizes will kill to do so. Indeed, they killed 76 mental patients between 1989 and 2001 who were attempting to expose the heinous mind control programs at Roundway Asylum. However, in their exposures of the mind control programs, they realized that at least 48% of the population of Devizes were convicted child rapists, and that there were all sorts of interlinking criminal enterprises operating in the town that were connected to the paedophilia trade, the kiddie porn trade, organ harvesting, organ trafficking. Indeed, these vile operations, police protected, have been going on for at least 50 years in Devizes, and 84% of Devizes profits from these illicit trades. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, for exposing these things, Devizes want me dead. So it's all very interesting to consider that they will kill to maintain their so-called respectable reputation. But their reputation is not really as it seems. Indeed, it is a seedy place. As I've stated, the Wiltshire Police Headquarters is the epicenter of the kiddie porn trade for much of the southwest of England, not only Wiltshire. So it's interesting to consider that. And indeed, the reason why the teenagers in Devizes are so fucked up is because their families regularly rape them. So it's all a rather sad situation. Indeed, there are also a couple of initiates of Moonraker Lodge number 8747 who I do not know if they are necessarily part of the 49 Elders of Devizes, though it is possible they may be, such as these individuals are Stephen Bridge and Clive Paget. Now these guys are seriously sick individuals and operate an underground system beneath Moonraker Lodge and beneath their own houses. where children from the town are taken and raped in ceremonies by hooded males. So it's all interesting to consider the fact that Devizes is not a respectable town. It is run by a Masonic lodge operating certain covens that all basically interconnect with the Masonic lodge. That is the Moonraker Lodge number 8747 self interconnects with the secret lodge within the Wiltshire Police Headquarters, which is Golden Lodge number 8888. And that's specifically a Wiltshire Police Headquarters lodge. And it's located in the catacomb system and vaults beneath the Wiltshire Police Headquarters. Indeed, there is a labyrinthine tunnel network beneath the Wiltshire Police Headquarters where many of the children that are abducted from war zones across the globe are brought, usually by certain criminal syndicates such as the Albanian, Russian, and Kurdish mobs that interconnect with the activities of Wiltshire Police. It's all very interesting to note that the Wiltshire Police networks have tried to cast me as a Russian agent, when Russia is a police state, and I would have nothing to do with it. I hate the police in any nation. They're all involved in syndicates, and indeed the Wiltshire Police Headquarters and Devizes Police have connections to the Russian mob, who in Britain are themselves run by the British police. Indeed, Russian mob operations in the United Kingdom are overseen by the British police. Just as the interconnectivity between the Wiltshire Police Headquarters and the Albanian mob and the Kurdish mob operating there. Indeed, the Albanian mob in Britain are truly a pet project of the British police, and this collaboration between the British police and the Albanian mob dates back to the 1940s and 1950s, when the British intelligence services recruited several police operatives to basically form an alliance between anti-communist networks of Albanians and the British police to create a wide-reaching criminal enterprise, mainly focused on organs, drugs, guns, and children. So it's all very interesting to note the Kosovo War itself in the 90s was directly interconnected with this British police operation. As I've stated, the British police set up the Kosovo statelet as an organ harvesting, narco trafficking and distribution, gun running, general prostitution, and child trafficking statelet, basically. All of this was coordinated by the British police, which, as I've stated, is Masonic. So it's all very interesting to note that the British police set up their own statelet in the Balkans. It is now basically known as the Medellin of Europe, and for good reason. So it's all very interesting. Of course, the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst were directly interconnected with these operations also, and you can see this via the proliferation of German corporations in the Kosovo region. Indeed, as I stated, the original network interlinking between the British Freemason police and the Albanian mob began in the 1940s and 50s with the recruitment of anti-communist elements in Kosovo region and Albania and the Albanian regions of Macedonia and Montenegro. And the majority of these mob bosses were themselves Bektashis, and the Bektashis organized themselves in tekis, which are basically identical to Masonic lodges with more Sufi mysticism involved. However, the actual practices of Bektashis and Freemasons are pretty much indistinguishable. Indeed, all of these networks interconnect with the Sabbatai and Donmer, which have a large presence in these regions of which I speak. Indeed, Sabbatai Zevi is himself buried in Ulcin in southern Montenegro, which is an ethnic Albanian majority town. So it's all very interesting to consider the links between the Albanian Bektashi networks and the Sabbatai and Donmer networks. And as I've stated before, the Sabbataian practices are at times indistinguishable from Freemasonry, also, as are the Bektashi. So it makes sense that the Bektashi, Donmer, and British Freemasons are all interconnected in this interconnected web of criminal enterprises, occult sorcery, and vile operations, basically. It's all very interesting to consider. And of course, all of these networks interconnect with the Aga and the Ismaili assassins. Indeed, the Ismaili assassins are Masonic also in many respects. So all of these networks are interlinking. Indeed, there is much crossover between Western secret societies and Islamic secret societies. Indeed, the bridge between them seems to be the Sabbatean Donme network, who kind of straddle both Western secret societies through the Frankists and Islamic secret societies by the direct descendant followers of the original followers of Sabbatai Zevi. So, still very interesting how all of this interconnects. And how does this interconnect to my current situation where I am being followed around by undercover police and professional hitmen also contracted by Wyvern Lodge number 8620? Indeed, there seems to be a strange network of people following me at the moment. As stated a few weeks ago, I was originally being gang stalked by these networks of creeps who were interconnected with the Defense Intelligence Network operating out of almost a military base, i.e., the military intelligence capacity. Indeed, the majority of those operatives running the operation would have themselves been Freemasons. And these gang stalkers were most probably perverts who the Freemasons and the police had some sort of hold over. So they were gang stalking me. And as the weeks went on, the gang stalking turned to gaslighting, which basically seemed to be the general population. However, this seems to be easing now. And instead, I'm now being followed by networks of undercover police and professional hitmen. Indeed, it's also rumored that the Albanian mob have taken up residence in the center of town and are observing me for the British police. So it's all very interesting to consider what this is coming down to, indeed, by the exposure of the Devizes police organ cannibal necrophile paedophile ring, which I exposed in 2020. I have caused absolute chaos on the internet in underground circles. Indeed, as I've stated, my channel is mirrored, thereby people are seeing it who YouTube is not aware of, really, that are seeing it. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, PC Miller knows this and is terrified for his life. And so he should be. PC Miller is a cannibal and a baby rapist and is operative for a police force that is truly nefarious. It is interesting that Devizes itself has a secretive coven running the town, i.e. the 49 Elders of Devizes, who at one point in the 80s and 90s were known as the 49 Elders of Aplin, due to the creepy Aplin family of Devizes having the ascendancy over the 49 Elders of Devizes. It's also interesting to note that there may be a 50th member of the 49 Elders of Devizes who is the titular head of the Devizes Council, and this man probably is an Aplin, which means at the moment it is probably Stephen Aplin, i.e. Steve Aplin of Calm, whose wife Viv Aplin is a kiddie porn executive for the Wiltshire Police kiddie porn ring operating out of the Wiltshire Police headquarters, overseen by the National Crime Agency, interestingly. Indeed, as we enter into a new phase of a police state in the United Kingdom, we are going to see the creation of new agencies that are supposedly tackling crime. And these networks will basically create a secret police, which will be a mixture of the Stasi, i.e. the East German security services, the KGB, the Soviet security and intelligence services, and the Gestapo, i.e. the Nazi German secret police. So the secret police that is going to be created in the United Kingdom will be basically an intermingling and intermeshing of these networks, which is really quite scary to consider. Indeed, I believe that as a schizophrenic caveman, it is my duty in life now to be anti-police and anti-Freemason. So I'm putting aside my former theories on all adherents of the faith of Ishmael, etc. And from now on, the focus is on the British police and British Freemasonry, and pumping out as much information into the public domain about the town of Devizes as is possible. Indeed, the world must know what kind of place Devizes is and what kind of people inhabit it. Indeed, 48% of males above the age of 16 in Devizes are protected child, toddler, and baby rapists. So it's all very interesting to consider the fact that this town is proliferated with these types. Indeed, many are brought to Devizes from other parts of the country because their crimes against toddlers are so grisly and heinous that they cannot be put in prison, and the media is not allowed to report on these characters. Indeed, if they even go into a courtroom, it is a closed courtroom, and they are transferred to Devizes, where they become part of the overarching snitch network, which not only reports to Devizes Police and therefore Wiltshire Police Headquarters. This snitch network also reports to the 49 elders of Aplin, i.e. the 49 elders of Devizes, and the 50th elder of Devizes, i.e. the titular head through bloodline descendants, who is the current head of the Aplin family, Stephen Aplin. Steve Aplin, currently a resident of Calne, but he is the head, the 50th shadow network leader, and titular head of this strange coven, this council that runs Devizes, the 49 elders of Devizes plus one, i.e. the Patriarch of the Aplin family. So it's all very interesting to note. Indeed, any prospective customers for the Devizes kiddie porn trade have to communicate with the Aplins to be able to enter into the secretive world of the Wiltshire Police Headquarters kiddie porn trade. So it's all very interesting to note. Indeed, the Aplin family of Calne, who are themselves a Devizes bloodline, are rather terrified of me and recently reported me to the police simply for referring to Stephen Aplin, i.e. Steve Aplin, as a pervert. But it's interesting to consider. Steve Aplin is a renowned rapist of children. So it's all very interesting to consider. So in future videos, we may look further into the 49 elders of Devizes and this strange council that runs this strange little town. Indeed, it's somewhat similar to Silent Hill in a way, with the elders running the town being rather creepy. It's all very strange indeed. I'm going to leave it there now. Thank you.